Hello, everyone, and welcome to the finals of the StarCityGames.com Season 2 Invitational Weekend. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, we are here in the booth. Nick Miller down in the feature match area as we prepare to watch one final match here this weekend between number 7 overall seed Sam Black with 4-color energy against Ely Kassis, your number 8 overall seed playing Teamer Energy. Black has made it through the quarters and semis by defeating 2 Teamer Energy decks, and if he goes 3 for 3, it's $20,000, and apparently a nice little token of him as a treasure.
That would have been my choice. Kassis, of course, also playing for $20,000 and is a likeness on a token. He has informed us that he would like to be a pirate.
We begin things here with Black and a Sheltered Thicket for Kassis. He's going to start off with the best start this deck does have. Botanical Sanctum into Attune with Ether. Up to 2 energy. Basic land on the way for Ely. Not a bad start, given that he is on the draw. We'll be heading back Sam Black's way here in just a moment as Kassis does search up a basic forest. And I'll be curious to see if Kassis is the first one to get to the battlefield here, or if Black does with Long Tusk Cub or Servant of the Conduit.
One of the ways that this kind of matchup can go is someone has a play on 2, the other person doesn't, and whether it's extra mana or attacks from Long Tusk Cub, the leverage you generate from that can run away with the game. Though Black here with no play on the second turn.
And this is Spire Bluff Canal, and he'll pass the turn back over to Kassis, perhaps representing an Abrade, a Magma Spray, or a Harness Lightning for Kassis. He's gotten Attune with Ether again, so he's up to 4 energy, but this means he will not have another play this turn. Maybe a third Attune perhaps, as he searches for a mountain, but nothing to put him onto the battlefield. I got a little sneak peek of Sam's hand there, and it does appear as though he does have a copy of Rogue Refiner in hand, so he'll be joining the battlefield here momentarily, I believe.
Cool.
Good card.
Yeah, it's, you know.
No, I don't. It's got a good rate, doesn't it?
It does have a good rate.
Yeah.
I find it to be exhausting.
Over to Sam will go. Another copy of Spire Bluff Canal in hand. He will play that as his third land. This is a Rogue Refiner. That is 2 energy, and here comes that card. Servant of the Conduit with the draw. Kassis is going to untap his Botanical Sanctum. Along with that Spire Bluff Canal. Draw a card for his third turn. Picked up a copy of an island, I believe. And he's going to play a mountain. And a Rogue Refiner of his own. See, these guys get it.
They got it.
They understand how it works.
Yeah, they are in the finals of this event.
Yeah.
I think they, you know, they understand.
Sam will play a hub. He's going to play a Chandra. He's going to minus that Chandra, I believe.
No, they just spend some time flame-tonguing each other.
I keep wanting to believe that Sam's going to ever minus Chandra down to 1. That's never true. He always pluses it, uses a removal spell to take care of the creatures on the battlefield. This time it was Magma Spray to take care of Rogue Refiner.
I think, in the semis to generate lethal. He was willing to do it when it ended the game.
Right. Right. That's my bad. It's my bad. So Chandra on 5, Rogue Refiner in, Kassis down to 17. It's another great start here for Sam.
And you may wonder, why did Sam go up? It might be just an execution of a game plan here that he wants to ultimate Chandra a reasonable percentage of the time. But also, keep in mind, Kassis has 2 main deck copies of Lightning Strike, so even though he wasn't threatening Glorybringer on his 4th turn, he could have finished off Chandra at 1 with a Lightning Strike.
Well, keep in mind, players do have access to each other's deck list here. So they are well aware of what each other is working with here in the finals. Our final match here in 2017 of the SCG Tour.
Our classic players, we finished our rounds of Swiss, and we have our top 8. In first place with 18 points, Shane
Black going to reorganize some mana. You see the Chandra's at 5. It's going to go up to 6 now for some red mana, it appears.
Third place, 17 points.
Perhaps it's time for Glorybringer. It is. Glorybringer and Rogue Refiner are going to come in. Glorybringer will be exerted to go after Whirler Virtuoso. Kassis will likely have a response by making at least 1 Thopter, maybe 2.
6th place, 16 points.
Like Black's curve here of
7th place,
cantrip, dude into Flame Tongues.
Yeah, you're
good against creatures,
you approve
generally.
of this, yes.
Good opening.
Sam is going to play a Servant of the Conduit post-combat, a little bit more energy for him, and he'll pass the turn back. You saw Ely make 3 Thopters with his Whirler Virtuoso before it died to Glorybringer's Exert. Rootbound Crag into Glorybringer will be Ely's turn. So he's actually doing just fine against Chandra here.
Yeah, this is a sufficient attack to take care of the Chandra, and if you would like a Rogue Refiner or a Servant of the Conduit.
Kassis is going to come in. He's going to exert his Glorybringer. Glorybringer is going to take care of Servant of the Conduit. And in combination with Glorybringer and some Thopters, looks like Chandra's going to bite the dust. So Sam is doing a nice job of protecting it, but Ely has certainly fought back. You see life totals here in favor of Sam, 19-10. Let's go back over to black. In with Rogue Finder is going to bring Kassis down to 7. Is it perhaps time for the Scarab God? Well, let's play some Magic.
And this is what I talked about pre-board. You know, Sam's got to just cross his fingers in some spots. He doesn't have nearly as much protection or redundancy for this card as he does in the post-board games.
The Fierce Confiscation Coup, of course, but Ely has no energy right now. It's going to take 5 energy to take the Scarab God with Confiscation Coup. The Confiscation Coup will give you 4.
Yep, so you need a hub or an attune here.
He's already played 2 attunes. Now, of course, as we have seen in both his quarterfinal and semifinal match against Michael Hamilton and Danny Jessup, respectively, when Sam gets to untap with the Scarab God, we're done.
Yep.
We're done. It's over. The question is, can Ely Kassis stop him from doing that? And if he does take care of the Scarab God, just as an example, well, he's still got to contend with that Glorybringer over there.
And Sam has prioritized, I think, presence on the battlefield above everything else. You know, the turn that he played the Glorybringer, he could have plushed the Chandra, and he either gets 2 points of damage, or maybe he finds another Glorybringer. Maybe he gets a little bit more card advantage that way. But he said, no, I need more mana so I can play Servant of the Conduit this turn along with my Glorybringer. Just get as much stuff on the table as possible, because these games just come down to presence on the battlefield.
Servant of the Conduit's going to come on down, and now here's a Harness Lightning. That is going to make Ely use all of his energy to take care of the Scarab God, at least temporarily. Black is untapping. And he will be drawing in just a moment. Scarab God will come back to Sam's hand at the end of his turn. Looks like Sam has another copy of Chandra in hand, I believe, to go along with an Ether Hub. Now that Chandra can take care of Kassis' Glorybringer.
Well, here, if I'm in Black's position, I'd probably just start the turn by attack and exert and kill your Servant, because depending on how Kassis blocks, maybe it's really juicy to Chandra and minus the Glorybringer, or possibly he sets himself up to get killed.
Very true. Very true.
Worth a quick survey here, though. Because I think it's a little too profitable on Kassis' side to be able to put the Servant of the Conduit in front of the Rogue Refiner and chump block the Glorybringer. I guess a consideration here is Lightning Strike, because Attune, or Harness rather, can't finish off the Glorybringer.
Well, Sam's going to go exerting. Maybe. A little unsure of himself, perhaps.
If you risk losing the Glorybringer here, either to Harness Lightning or to Lightning Strike, assuming that the servo goes in front of the Glorybringer, I think you need to make sure you're cashing out. And the fact that you're clearing out a 2/2 while you're attacking with a 3/2, I like exerting. I like exerting here a lot.
Well, Sam is going to agree with you. He will exert, take care of the Servant of the Conduit. We'll see how Kassis wants to block. He'll put 2 in front of the Rogue Fighter, 1 in front of the Glorybringer.
And by 5 o'clock tonight,
And now Sam with a big follow-up is the hub.
the SCG Tour prize wall will remain open until we've paid out all of the prize wall tickets.
Now he'll organize his mana a touch. This is Chandra. That's going to bring it down to 1, and Glorybringer will bite the dust. We'll see if Kassis does actually have Lightning Strike here to take care of the Glorybringer, and he does. So Glorybringer is going to die. Sam is left with a Chandra and a Scarab God. That's it as we head back over to Kassis. Kassis has a Chandra of his own, which he can plus. And that Bristling Hydra reveal, not going to cast that. That'll take care of Chandra. Now here's a Long Tusk Cup from Kassis. No energy past that turn, back over to Sam. Sam is going to draw a card now. He's picked up a copy of Magma Spray. Not too bad for taking care of the Cub. Sam with plenty of energy, but he has to be wary of Confiscation Coup. 2 copies in either Kassis' main deck. Sam's going to Magma Spray first, Scarab God second, daring Kassis to have the coup. If Kassis does, he's in great shape.
He needs some energy to pair with it, too.
That's very true.
And also, what are you going to do? This is where your hand is.
Kassis is going to plus and now play Coup. So 2 red mana allows him to play Harness Lightning, and now Confiscation Coup is going to take that Scarab God. And now it is Ely Kassis who is in the driver's seat here as Sam Black is going to untap. He'll draw a card, perhaps a Vraska. Okay, it is another copy of the Scarab God. Now let's have some real fun here.
Now, does Kassis have a hub?
It does not appear as though he does.
If he doesn't have a hub, Sam's still pretty heavily advantaged here.
Kassis needs a hub. He needs black mana. Sam has a hub, and his deck is built to use this card appropriately. Up goes Chandra. Chandra is the reveal. Kassis is going to think about this a little bit, and he says, you're going to take 2, down to 17.
2 p.m. standard challenge players. Pairings for round 4 are on the way. Once again, 2 p.m. standard challenge. Your pairings for the
Now,
next
Kassis' Chandra is at 7, which is a great spot for it to be in. However,
Sam can get back some haste threats here.
yes, he can. You're thinking Glorybringer, huh?
Yep. I mean, honestly, Sam's high enough where it isn't actually a crisis yet to answer the Chandra. You know, Kassis would need a number of spells, but it's still safer just to knock that down, especially when Black is so advantaged if the game goes on for much longer, because he can activate the Scarab God while Kassis cannot.
Yeah, and we're actually at the point right now where Sam has 7 mana total. He's used the Scarab God in the upkeep with the trigger on the stack to get back Glorybringer, which is why you're going to see him scrying here. But if Sam is able to find another land, then there's the battlefield untapped, he can activate the Scarab God again.
Yep.
And then we're probably all done. There you do see problem number 1 here for Kassis. He's got his own copy thanks to the Confiscation Coup, but Sam peeled another one right off of the top. And you can see the difference here. If you're able to activate that thing, life is so good. Black might actually be attacking with both creatures. Who knows? He is. And he says, I'm going at you. You can keep that Chandra. I don't care. They're going to run into each other. Scarab God triggers means that Sam will not get 1, but both back. And he'll pass the turn back. And basically what Sam is saying here, I think, is you have to kill my Glorybringer with your Chandra.
And it looks like Sam kept Chandra on top, so this attack knocks Kassis down to 2. The trigger from the Scarab God gets him to 6, Glorybringer gets him to 2, and now, even if Kassis can answer the board, just playing Chandra and activating it will be a kill.
Well, he's going to go ultimate here with his Chandra. And now...
And Kassis only with 1 main deck copy of Spell Pierce that Sam can pay for. So Sam, with access to Kassis' deck list, knows that this is safe.
Rogue Refiner did come down to shoot the Glorybringer, but here's Chandra. Sam is very quickly going to plus this, reveal, shoot you for 2, and that's game number 1 to your player on the left. It is Sam Black with his 4-color energy deck. He does win game number 1 here over Ely Kassis and his Teamer energy deck. Hey, I don't know if you knew this. Scarab God. Pretty good card.
Some swinging games right there. Kassis needed to find an energy source to get his Confiscation Coup to take the Scarab God. Sam immediately ripped his own. The fact that Kassis didn't have access to Aether Hub was critical in that game. I think it looks very different if he has one and he can start activating the Scarab God before Sam can, but only had his dual lands and basics, and Sam able to leverage the Scarab God into a game 1 win.
Game 2 will be underway here shortly in just a moment. We'll watch more Sam Black and Ely Kassis in the finals of our Invitational, but for now, a few messages from our sponsors. Game number 2 about to be underway between Sam Black and Ely Kassis. 4-color energy versus Team Energy. Your player on your left, number 7 overall seed, Sam Black, did win game number 1. Tommy Topdeck of the Scarab God,
Yes.
but got it done. For Kassis, he'll be on the play here for game number 2. See if he can get off to maybe a little bit of a quicker start. It's funny, if Kassis did have an Ether Hub that game, maybe the result is different.
Very different. But as it was, the Scarab God was just a 5-5 for 5, and Sam's was the runaway engine we know of.
Black looks like he's going to take a mulligan very quickly here. Not happy with the hand that he has seen. So we'll take a moment to learn a little bit more about the player who's on his way to 6 cards here in Sammy Black, who made the trip out here. Funny, I don't know if you know this, he flew to Richmond instead of Roanoke.
Well, in his defense, both are cities in Virginia.
Yeah.
Both start with R.
Yeah.
And Star City has hosted events in both places.
They have.
So it's not an unreasonable mistake, though one that could have been easily spotted had he gone over to StarCityGames.com and clicked on the events page.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. He writes for us. I think you know where the tournament would be.
I don't know.
35-year-old from Madison, Wisconsin, who did fly to Richmond instead of Roanoke, and then he made the drive. A nice, pleasant 3-hour drive, by the way. I've made it myself before, and he made it here in time for the tournament. Has the player with now 2 invitational top 8s and maybe an invitational win on the resume very soon. All good-natured fun with Sam. Sam joking about it with us in between rounds here before the finals, and he even said, I'm just playing my deck from the Pro Tour. That's all I'm doing.
Have these appetites, no idea why they're there.
Yeah, they're not good. My friends told me to play them. They've been bad all weekend, but one thing he knows how to do no matter what is he knows his way around a Magic card. That's for sure. So he currently sits up a game here against Kassis. He'll be scrying to see if he's going to keep his card on top or bottom. It is headed to the bottom, and game number 2 about to be underway as Ely Kassis will start things up. He's got a tune off Botanical Sanctum yet again. He'll search up a basic mountain there, so it's off to a great start here for Ely. For Sam, we will see in just a moment what he's working with. He'll draw. Picked up a hub. Botanical Sanctum, but no attune for Black as we head back over to Kassis. Does Kassis get on the battlefield early this game with a cub or a servant? That's the question. Looks like the answer is yes with a servant up to 4 energy. So mana does not appear to be a problem for Ely as we head back over to Black. Black will play a hub. He'll use a Harness Lightning to take care of that servant. He'll be left with 1 energy as we head back over to Kassis. Kassis appears to have plenty of mana to work with at this stage, even though he did lose his mana accelerant. You see a hub in his hand. He'll be playing a Spire Bluff Canal, but he's got no 3-mana spell, no Virtuoso, no Rogue Refiner. Black's the one with the powerful 3/2 for 3. It has what again?
Good rate.
Has good rate.
I think Sam drew another one. They combo with each other.
Yeah, they sure do. Kassis, I think, is going to use a removal spell to take care of this Rogue Refiner, and he will. Lightning Strike will take care of the 3/2, but it's already gotten its job done, drawing Sam Black another card and giving him some energy. Back to Kassis, we're going to go. Kassis may be looking to keep the battlefield clear because he got a Chandra on the way, but instead he'll just play a Spire Bluff Canal and pass the turn back over to Black. If 1 Rogue Refiner is good, maybe a second one is better. We'll see exactly what Sam wants to do here on the 4th turn. He'll start by playing a hub.
I think they're all equally as good.
Well, here is that second Rogue Refiner, up to 6 energy, and he will draw a card, picked up a copy of Botanical Sanctum. Back over to Kassis, we're going to go. He'll draw a card. Looks like he may have picked up another land. Perhaps Kassis is flooding badly here.
Looks that way, and Sam, even though he was the one who mulliganed, ahead on cards by quite a bit at this point.
Sam will draw a Spire Bluff Canal.
And with these Rogue Refiners, it allows you to apply pressure, drain resources out of your opponent, and not expose yourself to Confiscation Coup.
That's win-win-win.
All wins.
That's win-win-win.
Big wins.
Best way of conflict resolution per Michael Scott.
Ah.
Oh, no. A 3rd Rogue Refiner.
Yeah, cards that draw cards combine with each other because they start finding one another.
Yes. There's a forest and a passing of the turn. Kassis will draw. I think he's found a Rogue Refiner.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's fun.
It's $10 to enter. If you'd like to play in the 4:30 Modern Turbo event, please come up to
I think these games would be better if they had a special rule where it's, all right, everyone gets a Rogue Refiner in their opening hand, but that's it.
That's it? Only one?
Only one. You get one on the house.
Okay. It's a new format.
Right, new format.
New format.
So if you want to play in either of those events, please come up to the stage.
There's a hub for Kassis. He's up to 8 energy. Big follow-up. 3 mana here for Kassis. He'll use an energy. I think it might be a Virtuoso. It is. Trigger on the stack. Will Sam have a reply? Kassis has 7 energy here.
I actually like the word reply a lot more than response.
Yeah.
I think we should start using
I
that.
try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. I have a reply.
Yeah. Here's a Harness Lightning. In reply.
Yeah, in reply.
In reply to Virtuoso. 2 Thopters made here for Kassis.
Salutations.
Over to Sam, we're going to go. He's picked up a copy of Aether Hub. Looks like we might be going towards Magma Spray. He's going to use an energy to play the spray, get the Rogue Refiner out of the way. Let's do it, Rogue Refiners. Will these Thopters attempt to trade? They will, and that'll happen.
I can't imagine Sam, even if he had a removal spell in his hand, picking a fight over this with Kassis. It's so high. Removal's at a premium here.
A hub, a Virtuoso, gonna bring Sam up to 9 energy. And a passing of the turn. Let's go back over to Kassis, who's having some real issues with drawing some real cards at this point. He needs Glorybringer, he needs Chandra. He's got Confiscation Coup, but no real good target, as he'll play a Forest. And I think Sam might be on to him about that. Here's 5 mana. Here is Confiscation Coup for Kassis. See what kind of replies Black has.
Yes.
This is for 1 match only, by the way. Maybe only 1 game only. I'll be using reply instead of response to close out 2017. I'll have forgotten by Columbus next year. Sam's going to make a couple Thopters here.
Offer a rebuttal.
Yeah. And change the lexicon of the game.
Yeah.
We're going to head back over to Black now. He'll draw a copy of the very powerful Glorybringer.
And that Confiscation Coup represents something of a victory there for Black, as, you know, getting through those 2 copies without catastrophe striking is a challenge, in at least in the pre-board games where, you know, Black doesn't have nearly the same level of responses.
Looks like Harness Lightning is going to take care of Glorybringer. Sam was ready to exert that thing, but not going to be given the opportunity. Here comes Rogue Refiner and 2 Thopters. Kassis with 4 energy, the ability to make 1 Thopter right now. To note, Sam did have to use 2 energy to cast that Glorybringer. Thopters will trade. 4 damage will come across, though I do think Sam has a Spirebluff Canal as his land for the turn. He does, so there's another source of red mana as we're going to head back over to Ely Kassis. This game's still very much winnable for Ely. He'll start by attacking with the Virtuoso. Sam will fall down. And now here's a Long Tusk Cub. Just a 2/2 at this point for Kassis, as Black very quickly untaps and he'll draw a card. Just a Thopter hit in the air. The follow-up is a Blooming Marsh. And we will send the turn back over to Ely Kassis.
Well, now Sam very much drawing to his big plays.
Glorybringer, Vraska, and of course the Scarab God. All things that Black can find right now. For Kassis, he's tapping mana. He has found a Rogue Refiner. Up to 3 energy is nice. And a card is also pretty nice as well for Ely. A little bit of a smile on Kassis' face as now he's going to play another Rogue Refiner. That's fun.
Now he has enough energy where the Rogue Refiner on Sam's side can no longer blot the Cub, even if he had not drawn Magma Spray, which he did.
Well, Kassis is getting back into this game now. Cub is going to come across, as will Whirler Virtuoso. There's plenty of energy for Whirler Virtuoso now, too. Up to 7 energy goes Kassis. The game can turn around just that fast, as now Black is the one that's in trouble with just a Thopter token on the battlefield and a Servant of Conduit being the draw. Not all that impressive.
Yeah, I feel like we are at the Scarab God or bust.
Yeah, I'm not
even
sure.
Braska, I don't think is good enough at this stage.
Seems a little bit worse as here comes that Thopter token. Kassis going to fall down to 8. Here is Servant of the Conduit. Sam going to gain a little bit of energy here. Sam will play his last card so that he can play and activate the Scarab God in the same turn, which is a play that can turn the game around in a big way if he's able to get to it. For Kassis, it's a Whirler Virtuoso. A little more energy here for our Teamer Energy player. Here come the Knuckleheads.
I assume this necessitates a chump block on the Cub. 10 is 7, and...
Nope, not going to die yet.
Okay.
He can jump in front here.
5, 7, plus 5 is 12.
All day.
I guess, from Sam's perspective, it's if he's not pumping the Cub, he's just dumping it into the Virtuoso instead. So,
though Kassis will take this opportunity to get some damage through, thanks to the Cub being unblocked. Black is going to fall down to 4. We're going to see Black's next draw step might be his last of this particular game. He's drawn an island, and that is not going to do it. So either Kassis is going to win game number 2 here over Sam Black. Teamer Energy, 4-color energy. They're going to go to game number 3. The power of Rogue Refiner on display.
yeah. No follow-up.
It's got a good rate.
Let's go to the sideboards.
In a moment, because we need to hear some messages from our wonderful sponsors. Let's take a look at some sideboards, shall we? We'll start with Sam Black and his 3 negates, 3 Chandra's defeat, 2 confiscation, 2 appetite for the natural. He has not used those this weekend. A magma spray and a braid, a spell pierce, a vizier of many faces, and a Nissa steward of elements. I know we've watched Sam play this matchup a couple times, so what you're going to say, people have probably heard before.
The coups, the vizier, the Nissa, the Chandra's defeats, and depending on player draw some mixture of the cheap removal, maybe in or out of the deck.
For Ili Kassis, he's got 2 Death Gorge Scavenger, 2 Chandra's Defeat, and here come a bunch of fun of one-ofs. Outer Devastation, search for his Kanta. Negate, Reduce to Rubble. Revolutionary, Rebuff, Slice and Twain. Torrential Gearhulk, Essence Scatter. Commit to Memory, Magma Spray, and his own Nissa Steward Elements. His sideboard's kind of fun.
Okay. So I like the Gearhulk and the Nissa. And I could be talked into the negate. Is Hour of Devastation the Stone Rain with...
No. 3 red. Deal 5 to everything.
Oh, okay.
Planeswalkers and creatures. Yeah,
Okay. Not the shabbiest here.
Okay.
I mean, the obvious cards are obvious. And there's a whole bunch of cards in the sideboard that could fit into mid-range matchups potentially, but I am not going to speculate.
I want that search for his Kanta.
What's the Stone Rain that deals 20 to everything? Extinction something? Or
Star of Extinction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was that. It's like,
not
kill your swamp and...
It's not that.
It's my answer to the Scarab God is it dies and their black mana dies.
Nice.
And their Server of the Conduit dies.
That's probably dead too, yeah, along with everything else that's on the battlefield. Yeah.
Oh well.
That's a fun design. 20?
Yeah, it's sweet.
20 is a fun number to put on things. I like that.
16 points.
Not to be messed with.
0.1 percentage difference in opponent.
We'll take a moment here to learn a little bit more about Ili Kassis, if we can. The 34-year-old from Binghamton, New York, with 14 open top 8s and 1 open win, and now an invitational top 8 on the resume. Private practice mental health counselor, certified in hypnotism.
Sweet.
Might want to give that a try. Used to play tournament volleyball and an aspiring food aficionado. I know that whenever we go to Syracuse, he's always got the good recommendations.
Preparing or eating?
What's that?
Food, like preparing food or eating it?
Why not both?
Food aficionado. Could be another thing.
Why not both?
Tournament volleyball. Cool.
Preparing, eating, writing about all of it. The 34-year-old member of Team Card Hoarder here in the finals against Sam Black. I'm a booming food aficionado.
He's got a very hypnosis photo there for his profile too.
Yeah.
You are very calm.
Yes. I'd like to be hypnotized. That could be fun. I've seen the movie Get Out. What's the worst that could happen?
I don't know. I don't know that movie.
What's the worst? That you don't get my really, really inappropriate joke. What's the worst that could happen if I get hypnotized? What's the worst that could happen? You need to see the movie. It's great.
Okay.
It's great. You're never going to see it.
Probably not.
I know that. You say okay like it's going to happen. You're not going to do that.
No, the okay is not I'm going to do that. The okay is I acknowledge that that was something you asked of me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I really do. And where Ili is from, I think Get Out actually takes place like upstate New York too. So it's like kind of perfect that he's into hypnotism. And him hypnotizing me could just be part 2 of Get Out. We could call it Get In.
Get in.
Yeah. Get In.
It's a good sequel name.
That's right. That's right. Game number 3 about to be underway here in just a moment. Winner of this match, by the way, $20,000, likeness on a playmat and a token, free entry into all opens in Season 1 of next year, and free entry into Classics of Season 1 of next year. Big prize.
Yes.
Big prize. Big trophy. Winner's interview with Nick Miller in the sideboard.
Yep.
Can't pass up on that.
Treasure token or pirate token.
The treasure token for Sammy B, pirate token for Ili. Those will be given out in orders and at opens and classics in 2018. You can get the playmat at IQs near you, so you can qualify for this invitation. Only at 288 players. Remember, imagine playing in a 288-player tournament where first place is $20,000. Pretty sweet. That's a nice little small field with
really
a lot of money.
Equity is the word. Good equity.
It's a good word. Rootbound Crags, plural to start. Swamp, Servant of the Conduit. Sam will pass the turn back over to Ili Kassis. See if Kassis has a removal spell for Sam's Mana Accelerant, as there's a Botanical Sanctum, and now that is a Harness Lightning. So the answer is yes. Sam's development will be slowed down just a touch.
Standard Classic players at this time.
Sam has a tune.
Posted standings are final. If you are in the
Perhaps an island on the way here for Sam Black?
Yeah, I think he has Rogue Refiner in hand, so he needs to get that all set up.
Good card.
Also pairs with Whirler Virtuoso, if that's the card.
Yeah.
Photo ID out and ready to go.
An island here for Kassis. Let's see what this is. Nissa, Steward of Elements. That is going to resolve. Let's take a look at that Planeswalker. We don't see it a ton. In the sideboard to these teamer decks, looks like it's going to start on 1 and go up to 3 as Kassis is going to scry not once, but twice. For the plus is scry 2. You got a 0 with some revealing, obviously, and then the -6 you can make your lands into 5/5s and give them beatdowns.
I really like that in the invitationals, in contrast to the opens, the monitor that we're looking at is much further away than it is the opens. So our producer will bring something up on the screen, and it's like I cannot.
Trust
read.
me, I know what it does.
I cannot read that. I know this one. I watched my teammate in Baltimore a few weeks ago, Robert Vaughn.
Roberto
Alleged this was very good in the mirror as I watched him just get rinsed for 2 straight days. Maybe it is good. I don't know. We'll find out.
I'm sure Rob is watching, and you just hurt his feelings. So.
He was there too.
Yeah.
He knows what happened. I'm not saying anything that isn't true.
Scry 2 here for Kassis. Going to bring Nissa up to 5. See if Ely finds a card or 2 that he likes here, as both players have scry engines online.
But in the mirror match, it's pretty tough to get to because the amount of loyalty that it generates relative to its cost is just hard to touch. And improving your draw step is really nice. And the matchup does randomly come down to, all right, I got to turn it on and go on the offensive in weird spots. And Nissa plays well there as well.
Well, Sam knew exactly what his top card was going to be from the scrying, so he immediately just zeroed Nissa, put Servant on the battlefield, got some more energy, plays a Rogue Refiner, gets a new card, gets more energy. He's up to 8 energy now. He's assembling a nice little battlefield, got a Vizier of Many Faces, I believe a Chandra's Defeat in hand. Saw a copy of Confiscation Coup, so it looks as though Black might have the goods. As we're going to head back over to Kassis. Kassis is going to zero his Nissa. He's got a Rogue Refiner, he's got 2 more energy, he's got a new card coming. That's an island. That's land number 5 for Kassis. Five mana here. Ooh, Confiscation Coup perhaps. Yes. He would like to take Rogue Refiner. Maybe a little surprise in there. I thought maybe he'd want to take the Servant, maybe cut some of Sam's mana off.
Well, this makes his attacks into the Nissa really good.
Very true.
Now Sam is left with a 2/2 that cannot profitably block the Whirler Virtuoso.
Well, might be a good time to use Chandra's Defeat to take care of Whirler Virtuoso. Kassis is going to use his Virtuoso in response, down to 1 energy, make a Thopter. This is going to go down to 2. That will be Kassis' turn, but that's 1 less Confiscation Coup for Sam Black to worry about. So we're going to go back over to Sam Black now. He'll untap those lands, he'll draw a card. Botanical Sanctum, the draw. He's also got Vizier of Many Faces, I mentioned earlier. And now he'll scry 2. So, take a look at a couple of cards here. Will Black don't have a great look at them. But we'll see where he wants to put them momentarily. As he does consult his hand. Now keep in mind, it looks like his 5th land. It will enter the battlefield tapped in that Botanical Sanctum.
I think Sam is preparing himself for life post-Nissa here. It's going to be a challenge to defend past next turn, much less 2 turns from now.
And might just not be worth defending anymore, too. The problem, however, is that Kassis has a Nissa on his side of the battlefield, and that one he's going to have some difficulty getting to. Let's see what Sam's plan is now, as he's going to use some energy. Maybe it's time for him to play a Confiscation Coup?
These Confiscation Coups are so modest, though, when they're going after Rogue Refiner. And puts Sam in a spot here where any red removal spell, a Glory Bringer, his board position collapses. He doesn't have a whole lot to show for it.
I believe Kassis may have just drawn a copy of Lightning Strike.
Lightning Strike plays here as well if Kassis' priority is getting the Nissa off the battlefield. And then your Nissa goes up to 7 loyalty this turn on Kassis' side. Now suddenly you're threatening to make your lands into attackers should the game take that shape.
Kassis will scry not once but twice here with his Nissa. He very quickly leaves them both on top. Probably a good sign for Sam.
And I think that's the charm of this card in the mirror match is if you're able to keep the board stable for just a turn or two, your opponent is not touching this card. There's just too much loyalty.
Here come the Knuckleheads. After the Nissa. Rogue Refiner and a Thopter will take care of that. Other Thopter will deal Sam Black a point of damage. And Sam's battlefield is starting to get crippled here, folks.
He's got a lot of mana to work with and a lot of energy, so those are good things. But yes, he's behind on the board. Though Kassis not with a ton of pressure right now, other than the Nissa.
Yeah, the Nissa is a scary thing, though. The continuous scrying here. And keep in mind, he did keep those 2 cards on top with the scry on this turn. So Kassis has found not 1, but 2 cards he's very, very interested in. Looks like maybe a little bit of disagreement here on what was happening on that turn, so the players are going to sort things out, but we're good to go as Sam is going to untap those 5 lands, serving to the Conduit. You mentioned plenty of energy to work with in 8 of it. But Sam needs to work himself into 2 spell per turn territory, because if he can play 2 spells per turn, they're always going to be powerful. I'm not quite sure he's there yet.
And his hand's pretty chunky right now, and another issue is, you know, he's on Confiscation, Coup, and Vizier as his big plays.
Well, there's Vraska.
Vraska qualifies also. And there just aren't really attractive targets on Kassis' side of the board right now for a clone and a control magic.
Sam will make a Pirate to help defend Vraska, Relic Seeker. Pass that turn back. Now, of course, Vraska, not difficult to get to her ultimate. The -10 target player's life total becomes 1. Don't know if that's going to work itself into the equation in this game or not, but it could. We also got to remember, too, that Vraska has so much loyalty. 8.
Yep.
You got to work to wear this thing down. Well, Confiscation Coup number 2 here from Kassis says, give me that Pirate. Give me a bunch more energy. And maybe this wasn't so hard to kill after all.
Or maybe just potentially going after Sam with this Nissa.
Says I don't care about Vraska?
I think that he has enough on the table here that it's probably worth taking care of the Vraska.
Well, Sam is picking up his permanent, so his Vraska's going to die along with him, it appears. As either Kassis is going to win game number 3 here over Sam Black. Teamer Energy, 4-color energy, getting ready for game number 4, but it's Teamer Energy that actually has a lead.
Interesting there that Kassis, in a game where he was on the draw, showed Long Tusk Cup. He's taking a very aggressive posture in the matchup. Referencing back to Sam Black's article on the premium side of the website, I believe last week, he said, you know, on the play I want him, and on the draw I don't. And Kassis had him on the draw that game.
Well, both players are going to go back to the drawing board here for game number 4. And before we take a look at their sideboards once again, a couple more messages from our sponsors. Let's watch game number 4, shall we, between Sam Black and Ely Kassis, 4-color energy and teamer energy. Oddly enough, we don't see this very often, Patrick. The 7th and 8th seed
Yeah, pretty rare.
through to the finals instead of maybe your first, second, or third seeds through.
Well, I think 3 out of 5 dampens the value a little bit.
Yeah?
Because you're on the play for, in theory, like a lower percentage of the overall game.
Sure, sure. Rootbound Crag, Shelter Thicket, that's where each player will start. Some red-green dual lands.
Like imagine that we were playing a set to 999.
Yeah.
Whoever was on the play wouldn't really matter all that much.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
So it does dampen a little bit. But yeah, no, definitely a surprise.
If we were playing, what's our matchup? 999. What's our matchup? You, me. Magnivore versus Bounce Lands. I'm on Magnivore.
All right, I'll play my the 1 green 1/1 Bloodthirst can't be blocked Kurt Ape deck.
Scarred Pit Skulk.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'll play 999 games of that.
That sounds good.
Yep.
That sounds good. War the Virtuoso gonna bring Sam up to 5 energy. Lightning Strike took care of the Servant of the Conduit. And now here's an Attune for Ely. I would just wildfire you in the next week, assuming I'm not dead, which is unlikely.
That was my experience in the matchup too.
Yeah.
You were a little soft to Wildfire, but they had to have Wildfire.
Yeah, that's important to have. It's important to have. I'm sure most people died when they tapped out and cast Tidings.
Tidings, yes.
Yes, Tidings.
Yep.
Good card. Sam's going to make a Thopter. Can we reprint Tidings? Is that too good?
I don't know if necessarily, not necessarily too. It's borderline whether or not it's too good, but I think it's the incentives are not great.
5 mana draw 4?
Although I'll say this, I much prefer Tidings to pull from tomorrow. Make someone tap out and take a risk. Don't let someone sit back on a hand of counterspells and removal and wait for their opponent to not have anything.
All right.
I would, this card maybe would be pushing the line. It's more powerful than Jace's Ingenuity, let's say, but I think this encourages healthier things than Jace's Ingenuity.
Oh. Chandra's more powerful than any of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Chandra's a lot better than either of those cards.
Chandra's defeat is going to take care of Chandra. Kassis is actually going to get to loot now, too, with the secondary clause. So goodbye, Forest. Here comes a new card.
But the way that you beat Chandra it's interesting. Maybe you play with creatures with 5 toughness. Maybe you try to get on the battlefield. Maybe you try to, play with some Planeswalker-specific removal. The way that you beat Tidings is a much narrower range of things you can do.
It's difficult. It can be. Here's War the Virtuoso. Up to 5 energy goes Kassis, Botanical Sanctum, and we're going to head back over to Sam Black here in just a moment, who's considering making a Thopter here on Kassis' end step. He will not. He will simply untap his 6 permanents and draw a card. Sam has a copy of Chandra's Defeat in hand. Curious if he wants to use it on a Virtuoso or save it for later. Remember, he could have made another Thopter if he wanted to, but that would have exhausted his entire energy supply. And with a Black Splash in his deck, that energy that he can use towards the Ether Hub, very important.
Yeah, Sam has shown over, I've been watching and trying to pick up little interesting tidbits. He has not emptied out his energy reserves in spots where it's kind of modest to do so. Like, he may not even have a particular plan for that 3 energy, but 1 Thopter with Kassis' life total being that high is kind of whatever. It's not really adding that much to his clock, but he wants to have the option of doing more profitable things with that energy down the line.
Sam plays a Forest post-combat. 1 card left in hand, I believe, just a copy of Confiscation Coup. Hub is going to bring Kassis up to 3 energy. Now this will be a Glory Bringer. I think we're going to see Kassis exert this, and we will. So there goes Virtuoso, and again, Sam is not going to use the energy. He's staring at the Confiscation Coup, and he needs it to be a good one.
Pretty powerful incentive there to have the 3 energy in the chamber.
Absolutely. Now this would also be a pretty darn good time to draw the Scarab God as well. Board's relatively clean. He drew Vraska, which is actually not bad. So here is Confiscation Coup.
There will mana short, I believe, and also checking to see if he does have a hub, so he does have his black mana.
Now it is tough too because Sam needs a 6th mana for that Vraska, and it's got to enter the battlefield untapped too.
And that isn't a whole lot of his lands. We've been over this. Once you have the 3 mana on the table, you have Servants, Attunes, and the dual lands, all which have a hiccup.
This is a Vizier of many faces. Here is an attack with Glorybringer. And no Exert, of course, as Sam will not get to. Does he get to untap that Glorybringer? I think so.
The Exert rules are baffling in a way that in spots like this,
Sure.
who's the controller at what time
Well,
is.
I'll tell you this much. There's no argument from either player, so
Yeah, all right, cool.
it's very clear that Sam does get to do that. So 12-9.
Yeah, I think it references Kassis' turn or something.
Sure.
Some nonsense. But it works, and the players know it. So
Shelter Thicket is what Kassis is going to cycle. Maybe Kassis is going to leave his Glorybringer back now. Who knows? Sam's hand right now, 2 Vraskas.
So Kassis is behind in the race, although I think he uncontested wins first. Because 8-4-0 to 5-1, Nate 3, he would go first.
And heaven forbid Kassis actually have anything else like maybe a Royal Virtuoso.
There's also a pretty powerful incentive here for Kassis to trade because his creature is Vizier,
Yes.
not a Glorybringer.
Yes.
But I think being slightly ahead on the race, and now with a Whirler Virtuoso, I like this line.
Sam has drawn a copy of Chandra's Defeat, and that's a pretty good one. Now, what does he want to do with Glorybringer is the question. And he's got some thinking to do right now, folks. Keep in mind, Kassis has access to 6 energy. Also, Ely Kassis is up 2-1 and on the cusp of winning this game and tournament. Black is just going to attack.
First of all, the concession stand.
No Exert.
And this is leaving himself on the surface dead on board. Kassis can make 8. He can make 2 Thopters here, and he's got 8. So Sam's got to do something. You're curious now, does Kassis have maybe some of his boarded counter spells here? If he's not going for it, I assume that means he does not have negate. So that would be a really powerful cover to go for it.
He just makes 1 Thopter. Here they come. That's going to be a Chandra's Defeat on the Vizier, which of course is Glorybringer, so that'll go to the graveyard. Sam is going to take 3. He'll fall down to 5. We're all tied up. I believe Kassis does have a copy of Lightning Strike in his hand for a little additional reach.
And now this is where it gets really tricky, because if you make a Vizier here and get the Glorybringer, it's just untapped, sitting there, liable to be stolen. You could take a more conservative approach here and Vizier back your Whirler Virtuoso. But that makes it maybe a little bit trickier on whether or not you would have lethal on the way back.
Well, let's see what he's going to target. And we'll get confirmation on what he is targeting. I believe it's Whirler Virtuoso.
Just too risky for him in this spot. And because he's interested in chump blocking and going wide, a 2-3 and a 1-1 might just be better than a Glorybringer anyway.
Attune with Ether, the draw. That is not land number 6 for Sam Black. 2 Vraskas, cards that he has been splashing in this deck for success all weekend. I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to cast either one.
And if Kassis' last card is Lightning Strike, it seems very likely he's going to be going to combat on his turn with everything.
Can Black somehow keep up appearances, however? Well, not a bad way to start. He will Exert, kill Whirler Virtuoso.
So the thing about this line is it saves him some damage in theory, because if Kassis respects the possibility of Chandra, this Glorybringer gets to kill 2 things. Whatever the chump blocker is, plus whatever you're exerting. If he leaves the Glorybringer back on defense, you're only blocking 1 thing. And I think with Lightning Strike in hand, Kassis feels very comfortable playing it safe here.
If that is a Lightning Strike, like we think that it is, then this is going to be a tournament won by the member of Team Card Hoarder. The number 8 overall seed in this tournament means he's been on the draw a lot in our top 8. Kassis will make a Thopter on end step. He will untap. Take a draw step. Looks like another blue card he's drawn. This is a Forest. That is a Vizier for a Glorybringer. He will copy there, and that is going to do it. Ely Kassis is going to win this game and match over Sam Black. And it is actually Teamer Energy that gets the job done here over 4-color Energy. And we've said it so many times here this weekend, Patrick, there's a reason this is the deck that people go to.
And I think Kassis did, even though there are a lot of similar cards here, I think he did a good job of maintaining an aggressive posture throughout the 4-game set, both with the cards that he had in his deck and the way that he was playing the games. And, you know, Sam dies with 2 Vraskas in his hand, and it's easy to say, well, you know, he missed a land drop. The Vraska could have swung the game around. But also, I think Kassis played the game basically from turn 1, trying to be as aggressive as possible.